Three of the four of us made it. It was nice of you guys to join. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. That's dedication. Unlike some people on this show regularly.
Thank you, guys. Bobby Manning, for the second time this season, Bobby Manning has been fired from the Garden Report.
Done.
Oh, man.
Rest in peace to Bobby. It was a good run.
It's a good run.
But ultimately, all good things come to an end. And
he did some things. He did some things.
He did some things. He was fine, as we like to say. He was fine.
Yeah. He was fine. But it's like, if you don't watch it, some guy named Kornet's just going to come take your job. And that's what happened.
All of a sudden,
Kornet.
A 7-footer will just sneak up on you and take your job, just like that.
Just take your job.
Just ask Rob. Rob might not. Yeah. Rob might never touch the floor again. It doesn't take much.
So you knew Brad Stevens was going to find a way to not play Rob, right?
He's already seen enough. He's already seen enough to pass Rob in the depth chart. So when it comes down to who's starting next, it's either going to be Thompson or Kornet.
What do we have?
He ran into Moses.
Look at this morose MFer right here.
I think it's a real thing.
Now I can't hear anybody. See what happens?
This is what happens when Bobby joins the party late.
That's a good word. I don't know that word.
What?
Morose?
Morose, yeah.
Have to Google that.
That's a good one.
No, it didn't really apply. It's more of a movie quote than anything. It just means kind of grumpy. But
what are you so morose about? What movie is that?
But
from?
It's Jay and Silent Bob. Look at this morose.
Syracuse. Syracuse is down 12.
Yeah. Hi, Jimmy.
Oh, it's not looking good.
It's not at all.
Did you replace that Al Horford jersey with the Dice?
No, that's Shane Victorino. The Horford one's just fallen. I know Horford decided to take a brief retirement here at the end of the year.
Victorino for a jersey? God, that's weird.
I was always a big fan of him with the Phillies. I was thrilled when he came here.
He's legitimately crazy, like bipolar crazy.
Yeah. And we saw that at the end of his tenure here, but he got the good side in 2013.
Wait, you said the Al thing just fell on its own, though? Or you did that?
Yeah, it's just dropping. Okay, I got to put it back up.
See, that's a sign, man. That's a basketball guy. See? Maybe that's what it was.
Right.
Yeah, it started last night.
We're going to welcome Jimmy back. I'm going to rearrange my squares because this is how it works.
Who is this guy? I thought, did we give him the bad news?
Yeah, I fired him.
He comes on late, screws up my audio, thinks he can just waltz on in here whenever he feels like it, when Syracuse is going to get smoked out of the building tonight, based on the last time I saw the score.
I think that's why he's here.
It's not looking good.
That is why he's here. He said, well, if they're getting smoked, they'll pop on. Oh, thanks, Bobby. Thanks for gracing us with your presence as your team collapses.
All right, Josue. On the Horford.
You're a little morose.
Now it fits. Yeah, that's morose right there.
That's legit.
So what's going on with Horford, Josue? I don't really like this. Sitting 26 straight games, end of year. I mean, it's one thing if you're going to get traded, but
they clearly
that management doesn't mess around. I mean, they're not going to just force themselves into a trade that they don't agree with. I think that's what happened. I mean, let's face it, we didn't hear much rumblings about Al Horford rumors anyways to begin with. So I think that alone just showed you how the market was for Al. And they kept trying to put him back out there. And I don't mean it like that. They're trying him out there like he doesn't have much.
He was playing good this year, yeah.
He was playing good basketball. But you can tell, though, they were very careful with it, right, Bobby? They weren't putting him out there every single game. It was like they were saving it, making him look as sweet as possible, selling him. And look, I still think Al has, plenty left. It's just that contract. No one wants to pick up that contract.
Yeah, well, you get the feeling the conversation went something like this. Hey, Al, thinking of buying you out. Cool. Give me my $60 million and I'm good. And they're like, well, not that much.
Well, they've got
like, okay, cool. I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to ride the stationary bike for 26 games and you figure out what you want to do with me in the offseason.
We'll circle back in a couple months. All right.
Yeah, that's it. So this is what you're going to have to pay somebody to take him, right? This is where they have the opportunity, right? They've got 1,000 draft picks.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And they're going to basically trade him and they're going to pay somebody to take him and give away a couple
before the deadline though? I I guess it's easier to do in the off season because
no, it's easier in the off season.
Yeah,
because
exactly,
next season you have one season and then he's reduced. That second year is like 15 million or something. So that second season is palatable. So I think you can eat it there. But you're right. Why wouldn't one team take maybe just taxes, trying to fit it in now, trying to get under the cap? Probably a lot of teams could not have squeezed his number in there right now. So it's probably rough, but maybe next season you can.
Yeah.
Are you getting at the Celtics need to jump in on this? Is that what you're getting at, John?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, you wish they could.
They have too much.
Yeah.
They're spending too much money on marginal players as it is.
I mean, it's tough. You would love to have this last year or two that it feels like he's still got real quality play in him, but the number just went up way too high when he went over to Philly and became all but impossible to add him in here. I know he was your big TP target, Josue, but I don't know. 28 million was just insane, or whatever it is. I think it's 26. So it's too bad. I understand it from these teams' perspectives, but Drummond sitting all year the way he did and missing probably a third of the season, and Horford now going to miss a fourth. I know they're not the stars of the league, but these are really good players that are enjoyable to watch, and they're just sitting on the sidelines because these teams want to tank.
Well, let's do the game a little bit tonight before we get into all the other stuff, because we have a few things to discuss. In addition to this, you've got the buyout market situation, which who needs a big now that you've got Kornet, right?
Absolutely.
But that was interesting. We're going to get into Drummond a little bit. We're going to get into this. Was supposed to be the debut of Evan Fournier, but he's in the health and safety protocols, and WTF with that. We'll
get into that too.
Let's hope that was came into contact on the way over here, as opposed to a 2 to 3 week shut. I'm hoping it's a precautionary protocol situation where he's around. But if he's in here for 2 to 3 weeks, you got a rental player for 2 months and he could miss up to a month. That would be terrible.
He got a bad seat on JetBlue coming up from Orlando.
Right?
Unbelievable. Did Romeo pick him up at the airport? What the hell's going on?
Listen, guys, I'm not complaining here. What do you guys want to see him contaminate half the roster or whatever room he ends up in?
They've already gotten it. They're immune.
Yeah.
The whole roster's gotten it.
It's unbelievable. I was going through the names. I don't think they have anybody left. They lead the league in missed COVID days.
Jaylen, Jayson, Tristan's gotten it 4 times.
Does he have it still? Do we even know?
Romeo, Javante. I mean, he's gone.
Yeah. I mean, Brown, Tatum. I probably said those guys. I mean, who knows who else that,
Carson had it. Who else was in there?
Rob.
Josue was in the protocol. Rob had it.
Grant was in the protocol,
all of them.
I think.
You're talking most of the rosters, at least been in the protocol.
I think they've had every variant.
Grant was in there. Yeah. I mean this is insane.
I think, yeah. I mean, Massachusetts might be one of the worst states with COVID because of the Celtics.
Yeah. I mean,
anyways.
The numbers.
Anyways. So we'll get into the game. This could have been a nightmare. I was literally Bobby had to keep telling us who these players were on Oklahoma City.
Let's see. How many can you name right off the bat here?
Oh, I was hip to Moses.
0. This was a get your program sort of game. This was I'm a professional broadcaster, and they send me to the Olympics, and they're like, do team handball, and I'm like, okay, and you're just sitting there it was that
pass
kind of
it to
game.
The man. I felt like Boom Goes the Dynamite guy tonight. I was like, pass it to the man, takes a shot. This guy just dunks out of nowhere with Gumby,
this skinny little dude, Euro step, dunks it in the lane.
He dunked so hard his body crumbled that I had to take himself out of the game after that. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, he really did though. He was hurt.
He was hurt. His knees were like, we've never done this before, and then he had to take a minute.
He got hurt on that play. Yeah, he did. I mean, these guys brought it, right? They brought the energy, and I gotta give props to the Celtics team, the second unit, for coming in with that energy, because I mean, this thing could have really got out of hand in that first half if it wasn't for them, honestly. And that started with Payton Pritchard. Payton Pritchard was huge for the Celtics in that first half.
Finally, right? Yeah. This is probably going to be his first. I was thinking going into this game.
He was teeing up last night, though, Bobby. A little bit. A couple threes. I was like, okay, maybe he's warming up a bit.
Party?
I guess for tonight.
I know. We haven't even said Boston Pea Party in a month. He hasn't been at the podium probably in that long.
Yeah,
So coming in tonight,
Danny forced Brad's hand again. Danny forced Brad to play Pritchard by trading T. Forced Brad to play Williams by trading Tice, and theoretically forced him to play my new favorite player, Luke Kornet, by trading for him as well. So Danny's the puppet master right now, I think, behind all these, guys coming out of nowhere. But yeah, I mean, Pritchard's been a guy that, came on like gangbusters to start the season, and everyone's talking about who the hell is this guy? Danny did it. He found this, it's so hard to hit a guy late in the draft, and he's hit on him, which is all true and still is. But then he sort of took a serious back seat here. Teague was getting those minutes that should have been going to Pritchard. And when Pritchard would come in, he would just sort of, he'd be there. He'd be a guy out in the court and, once in a blue moon do something of note. But tonight, and like Josue said, felt like he was coming on last night too. But, the confidence was there. He's hitting those outside shots, driving to the rim, pulling up, a little bit of a floater. So it's good to see that again. It's good to see that he's still, he hasn't hit the rookie wall, completely.
Yeah, that's what it was, I think. Honestly, I think it was the rookie wall. I mean, you couple that with the grueling schedule, the no training camp, all that stuff we've been saying over and over all season long, and the All-Star break obviously helped him a bit. That grueling road trip, I think he kind of got lost in the middle of that. The NBA, the day-to-day grind. It's a process for these guys, for the rookies.
I feel so bad. For that NBA grind, man. Yeah,
I know. You know what I mean. Man. I'm not saying you should pity them, but
the time zones. The time zones.
Don't expect them to ball out.
Let's get into the story. The story of the game. It has to be
Moses.
Come on,
Luke Kornet.
Has to be Kornet.
Yeah.
I mean, it
was Moses in the first half. And Luke
sure, yeah, but I mean, it was no doubt. But I mean, the Kornet thing. I mean, that closing lineup, man. That was something. Who in the world thought Kornet was going to play the entire fourth quarter, or any minute in the game?
You knew they would get involved, but not that much. Especially in this West Coast. We didn't even think either of them were going to play in the Bucks game, and then Wagner stepped in there and played decent minutes. And then tonight, this guy comes in and plays outstanding minutes.
He enters the game with them down 4, and they basically go on a 19-0 run, or 21-2 run or something like that. As soon as he had, and that was the ball game, which was incredible. And
got 6 straight stops.
The 2 threes, the little Jaylen. I don't know if that was meant to be a pass that turns into an alley-oop there. Held up okay defensively. I mean, and we were joking before you jumped on, Bobby. You knew Brad was going to find some way to not have Rob play 30 minutes.
Rob wasn't great tonight. He got taken to him in that first half by Moses.
He was all right.
Moses nominated him, but
yeah, he was all right. That Moses was kind of an otherworldly sort of first half there. But at the end of the day, take away the rebound stats, he was 5 for 5, field goals in the first half. It looked impressive because he had 19 rebounds at the half, which was insane.
What did he finish with? I don't even know.
He had like 2 points in the second half.
He did nothing in the second half. I think he still ended up with 23 rebounds, 21 points. But he was 15 and 19 and ended up with 21 and 23.
He went from 17 to 4 scoring wise in that second half.
You can make the case that he blew it for them. So you know what?
Yeah,
Moses,
he was awful.
You thought you had a good night. You thought you had a career night going. Well,
he blew it for them. Come on.
He had a couple 5 seconds between the third and the fourth, or 3 seconds, 3 second violations. Yeah.
Which that was Brad saying, "Hey, this guy's not getting 19 rebounds by not sitting.
He's just sitting there, guys. Right?
Yeah. Take a look."
I mean, we've seen people do this in the Celtics a lot, especially the guy we were talking about last night, Andre Drummond, right? How many times he had 19, 20 rebounds? So you knew the pace that Moses has been on. I was like, okay, he's probably going to have like 20 boards in this one. But you got to give props to the Celtics for keeping with it defensively. I mean, that's what it was to me, at least. Like, they kept their heads high. They didn't start chucking up shots again like they normally do on offense, or just settle for easy or not so easy shots like they usually do whenever they're down by double digits. So I give them props because again, it was the second unit, the younger guys. Marcus was out there. Marcus had a lot to do with that as well. And then as the starters came back in little by little, they were able to regain
against a different team. Though this had the makings of one of those like
Oh,
early
yeah,
on.
sure.
This was the classic back-to-back game. You come out, you jack a bunch of threes, they don't go in, and you shrug your shoulders and say, "Well, it's not our night." And you lose by 20,
Right.
and you sit the whole fourth quarter. Like it felt like one of those games. But luckily, you're playing this team with these guys, and this felt like one of those games that no matter what the Celtics did, there was no way they weren't going to find a way to finally try for a little bit and win. Just from a sheer personnel standpoint, you could tell when Tatum and Brown were like, screw it, we got to try a little, and they could get wherever they wanted to go on their guys. And as soon as they got a little aggressive in the second half and just put their heads down and went to the basket, then it changed the whole game. But they came out just kind of gunning from three. It wasn't working.
Yeah, exactly. So right there, that's a good example. We need to credit Brad Stevens for benching those guys, right? He took them out. And when the second unit kept going, he wasn't quick to put them back.
That was a big moment, yeah.
He kept Marcus Smart out there with that second unit. Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum watched, because what was it? Jaylen went 2 for, he picked it back up in the second half. 1 for 7 in that first quarter. Lazy shot, lazy
1
passes.
for 8, 1 for 8 in the first quarter, 0 for 5, and almost literally not only lazy passes, like 0 passes. He was awful.
The classic jump in the air before you even look, and then, oh wait, there's 2 defenders there. Awful. Yeah, this is going to be picked off. Like those kind of passes he was doing. And it's just, again, it was back to that hero ball. I'm going to try to take over, and Brad nipped it in the bud. So I got to give him props for that, because he did it and then he stuck with it, because it could have gotten uglier.
Taco came in.
It paid off.
Taco did his thing.
Taco was fine. I thought Taco was fine. Again, it's stunning how he can't grab some of these rebounds that literally hit him. I want to say close to in the face practically. For some, it's kind of like trying to catch a tennis ball, which is probably a lot harder. These guys, I imagine his hands are just massive, and it might just be more difficult for him to
just gotta go cup it like a baseball.
He's so big for a thought to get from his brain to whatever part of his body he needs to activate just to make a play. Just takes so long,
But he also has to react.
It's just like it just shoots down
the
this
nerve
long
movement,
wire, and he's like, grab ball, but it's too late. The other guy's already tapped it up in the air.
Right. And he's also a lot closer to the rebound, so the reaction has to be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He's not like a 6'5" guard; he's a 7'5" guy, so he's gonna be a foot quicker to every reaction.
He's got the size advantage and the nerve disadvantage.
That's it.
It is. It's so bad.
The way he rebounds or goes about rebounding, it's just like, I can just jump over everyone, right? It's like, no, he's getting boxed out by guys literally half his size or damn near close to it. It's just. That's what drives me crazy. You're out there and it's like, can you just box out, grab some boards, He doesn't do it.
I read a little something recently, and this has been a topic with the Celtics forever. They're actually a pretty good rebounding team this year. Oh, thank you. And they haven't, that doesn't correlate with wins for them. I think they're top 5 in rebounding on both ends of the floor. And we know before this, for 15 years, they've been one of the most mediocre rebounding teams in the league, and they were pretty good. So they're showing that around the league, rebounding really hasn't correlated with winning all that much. And tonight was another night where they really got taken to them on the boards, and they still just kind of blew it away. If you're going hard for those offensive rebounds and you're not getting back, you can just lose everything there. The defensive rebounding isn't all that much because a lot of teams just run back.
The reason you're here, Swaggy. That's the reason.
I don't know if it was the same guy. I don't know if he's the same guy or he's just joking about it.
He's joking about yesterday.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
It doesn't translate.
Rebounds are useless.
It's like it's like the football adage, you got to run the football. No, you friggin' don't. You got to have Patrick Mahomes, you got to throw.
Got to be 50-50. Got to be 50-50. Keep the defense guessing.
You need to run the ball to win in this league. No, you don't. You need Kevin Durant and James Harden and Kyrie Irving to score 90 points between them. That's what you need to win.
You need Luke Kornet. Really.
Yeah, you can't be the worst rebounding team in the world like the Rockets were last year, but if you're somewhere in between the best and the worst, you're probably just leveling out with everyone else.
Yeah.
Right. So that fourth quarter was a difference though in this game. I didn't even think the Celtics played horrendously in this game. Obviously they were losing to one of the worst teams in the NBA throughout, but that third quarter I thought they played, they started to turn it around a little bit. Tatum got hot. Tatum was hitting some really nice shots in that second half. Some of those 3-pointers were just silky. That's when you're okay, Tatum's he has the ability to really be something special if he can just keep it going in this direction. Like with some of those shots that he hits, you're just like, yeah, like that's a superstar level shot right there.
Can I
so
tell
we saw
you
a couple of those.
I'll ask you guys each a question. Huh?
Did you take your ADHD medicine before the show? Because I can tell you're not paying attention to anything I'm saying.
No, I was trying to catch up on the comments here because I've been neglecting them a little bit. I want to ask you guys a quick question. If you have to pick the most shocking stat of the night, what is it for you?
I don't know.
The most shocking. I mean,
do they hit double digits?
The most shocking stat of the night: Luke Kornet, 8 points. I don't know.
Okay, that's your guess. I have mine, but Bobby, what would you say?
It probably is the free throws. I think Josue just threw that out there. They got to the line a little bit.
Like you cheaters do.
Josue, what is yours?
I said the free throw thing. Well, I'm sure they hit double digits, but are you being sarcastic?
Nope, here's mine. Ready?
Nothing to do with free throw. Hold on. Let me look at one. Let me.
Oh, I know what he's gonna go with.
Plus 24. Neesmith.
Oh.
Yep, I just saw it right before you said it.
Your boy.
He was part of the Kornet.
Believe that, right? Because he was in with the Kornet crowd. So
yeah,
he's riding,
right in there.
It was his floor spacing.
He's riding Kornet's coattails to a plus 24 in 16 minutes. He was so
Career
bad.
Career night for Neesmith.
Those two passes, the poor one he throws over Carson, like 14 feet over his head.
The best was Carson just does.
Carson, it was like that was like one of those like the left fielder doesn't move on like a 600-foot home run. He just sat there like
he just knows
that's what it was. He's like, dude, and then he tries to get it to Grant.
Look too, like really.
He tries to get it to Grant in the post, and there was literally nobody there. Like it was a free entry pass, and he just like whips it over. You know, so he was.
Listen.
That might make Shaq a fool.
You can't take Neesmith plus 24 and turn it into awful Neesmith segment. I won't let you do that. He actually got his hands on a couple of I think he created a couple turnovers late in the game, or he he was like doing some hustle plays out there. I'll say this about Neesmith. I don't know if he knows where he's going half the time, but he's always going somewhere. He's always moving. He's always shaking.
This comment.
Making. Yeah, literally though. That's how it feels. Like
where do you guys want me to go? What should I do?
Yesterday, he's like the coach's kid. Just put him in there, run around for 5 minutes, and like, good job, kid.
Yeah. How's this, Jayson? Am I supposed to be here? You know, like, no, man, no.
Jayson's like, get out.
At least he didn't yell at him today like he did last night.
Yeah, Neesmith definitely.
He's not talking to him, brother. He's still not talking to him.
I'm glad they got all these guys involved in this one because ultimately this game just ended up being such a walkthrough in the end that to get Neesmith, Edwards, Pritchard, even the stuff we've talked about with the trade they made, getting all these guys minutes on a regular basis now is going to be part of what they do, and sneaking Tatum and Brown a little more rest. Once Fournier gets eventually involved, you'll be able to do that even more. So all of these trades just put the roster in a much better place on a couple different fronts. You're already starting to see it through 2 wins now, 2-0 since the trade deadline. And who knows when Fournier is going to show up, but the party's just going to keep rolling now. 7 straight home games ahead. I said this coming into this week, and who knows if Fournier is going to get involved for any of those 7 games, but if they can win 6 or 7 games on this homestand here, and it's definitely a manageable stretch ahead for them, they can essentially lock themselves into... Well, no, if it's manageable stretch, all home games. They've been pretty dominant at home this year as a team. If they can take 6 or 7 here, they're locked for the playoffs above that play-in spot. You know, you're probably at the 4th seed at that point. And if you can finish strong after that, you're going to be in a pretty good spot coming into the playoffs.
They're 13-7 at home. Hardly
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Dominant. I mean, dominant is Utah Jazz.
But
back
fans
when they, never lose a game.
What's that as a win percentage? I bet that would be pretty high in the East.
Like 60 something, probably, right?
Yeah, 65, like 64,
66.
So that's
but, I mean, sure. I mean, I'm not gonna.
Are they 13-7?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 650 win percentage. 650 exactly. So
that would be the 3 seed in the East.
I got a math guy in the room.
If they had a 650 on the season, they'd be the 3 seed.
It's easy math there. But anyway, the
look at Jimmy. Jimmy's like, carry the 2. He's still working on it.
Divide that. Yeah.
How did they get a 7-game homestand?
Yeah.
That's insane.
No circus this year.
Yeah, right.
COVID season.
No ice capades. Yeah.
No, they might not ever have a circus again. The way everything's going.
Yeah.
You want to be at
I didn't connect that to actually being the circus.
That's when they used to do the Texas Triangle, right?
No,
Yeah.
he actually means the circus. Oh yeah, when they have the circus.
No, it was always in February. I remember it would always coincide like around. I'd be down at spring training, and the Celtics.
Yeah.
Would be
Did you ever have to
away,
cover the circus?
and the trade deadline? The circus is terrible.
Oh
So
my
they had a
god.
circus. They also had like Disney on Ice.
They'd have
for a
ice
week.
capades, Disney on Ice,
Yeah.
all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That stuff's depressing as hell too. You go there and there's like 12 people in the stands.
Oh my lord.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't been.
Oh,
Shocking.
yeah. I got kids. I've been
Yeah.
frozen on ice, stuff like that.
took you?
It's so bad. It's so bad.
I wish I was at the Celtics right now.
It's so bad.
Yeah,
It
being
really
a dad
is.
must suck.
No, well, that it is what it is. You go.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Yeah.
You gotta
Um,
buy the cotton candy. Anyways, we'll keep
Yeah.
it moving.
So as far as this game goes, the Kornet thing, great for tonight. Obviously, like
Is that?
don't know if
Do you
it's
think that's gonna
sustainable.
matter? Yeah.
no, it doesn't. That's why I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. Like,
On what?
We thought Mo Wagner mattered for a night. He got 10,000 views
Kornet?
on his presser, and he came on and did terrible today.
Well, he tried to
We'll give-
take one of his patented charges and got knocked into the third row, and then we never saw him again.
Yeah.
Missed a
I think
bunch of
Brad-
shots.
Brad was like, "All right, we got to give Kornet his flowers though, because we might not get plenty. Might not get a ton of
He might be
His shot
gone.
looks pretty flat, though, huh? I know he drilled a couple, but it's very line drivey.
I would
Yeah.
say flat's probably a good description for Kornet. Just probably
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
I don't know him well. I don't know him at all. But can we? I mean, first of all, this guy I don't know what he makes, but I imagine he makes enough where he can pay for a haircut. Is he cutting his own hair? I mean, that is a tough hairdo.
I think
It's
he put
all over the
bowl-
place.
he puts the
Second of
bowl-
all, looked like he was. Did he just like? Looked like he was wearing dress socks under those sneakers. I mean, he was wearing like. Am I the only one who thought that he had
Well,
like ankle socks on?
you know
They
what
were
else?
black.
They said he had to drive from Chicago in like his own car. They were like,
what-
"Oh, meet
what
us
do you
up there."
Drives like a Camry mostly. No offense,
An Uber.
but like he just doesn't seem.
He
Yeah,
took
he
an
doesn't seem
Uber
like that
Chicago to
He
Milwaukee.
drives his own Uber. He took fares all the way up.
yeah, he drove an Uber. He actually made a couple bucks on the way. Took him a little bit longer to get here. He had a couple of longer routes.
You guys
That
watch
was
the game?
unreal. Brad was like, "Yeah, Kornet's driving up, and we'll see when he gets here."
It's like
Yeah, he
the
just
Bruins
packed up the
dude.
car.
Tenorti drove up from like wherever he came from to play in that Washington game so he could fight Tom Wilson. He drove like 12 hours to get into a fight.
He drove 12 hours just to kick this dude's ass. That was unbelievable. Unlike Kornet, I can't imagine that's what Kornet would be thinking. Does Kornet play on Sundays? He looks like one of those like good Christian guys. You know what I mean? I don't know if he takes off Sundays.
I don't know. So
That's what he looks like. I
He's
mean, that's
like
the
a
vibe. That's the
Chick-fil-A.
vibe I get. That's
Yeah,
the
so
vibe
what
get.
I don't know that we're gonna get any more out of Kornet or
He
Wagner.
actually did a heat check. We got a Kornet
Whoa,
heat check.
hold
tonight.
on.
Can you believe that?
What about Wagner?
What
Whatever.
about him?
He sets hard
probably-
screens. He can get a couple threes
Wagner's probably more likely to stay, just because he makes more.
Kornet was assumed he was gonna get dumped.
Yeah.
But
For the
they're hanging on now because they're going to see where they are with the buyout. So I guess we can talk about it a little bit here. Coming off
boy.
this game, the Drummond situation report was that it was close to getting. So now it looks like the Knicks apparently are out, and it's really Boston and the Lakers. But Lakers going.
Well,
like-
Mitchell Robinson broke his foot today, so that could change.
Yeah,
Saw that. Yeah, that was tough.
I saw that. Yep.
Yeah.
But they're putting on that full court press here. And again, I think what's coming down to it is, one, you got the LA thing and the LeBron factor, and obviously a clearer path to a title than anybody else is going to give you. But two, they're going to use him in legitimate minutes, I would think, over there. So as you said, the Gasol thing's not working out. Harrell hasn't been great. So I think he's got a path to play. But again, the only way he comes to Boston is if they tell him, you're going to get a lot of minutes here. And so then it's, and I'm curious, the commenters here, and we've all been talking about it all day. How do we feel about Drummond? again, we talked about this in the last show. Drummond coming in and taking Tristan Thompson's minutes, I don't think anybody's going to worry about there. Drummond coming in and being part of a 3-man big rotation that's also going to feature some Grant Williams in there and is going to knock Rob back into the bench unit and into 16, 18 minutes a game, I don't think is something that everybody loves. So it all comes down to how Brad would use him. But if you're going to tell him to come here, you're going to tell him to come here because he's going to play starter minutes. You guys agree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's how you get him here, right? I mean, that's the edge over the Lakers because if you're him, you go with the Lakers. I think that's the edge. You get more playing time, more exposure in the Eastern Conference. And let's face it, he'll easily be the Celtics' best rebounder. What do we talk about whenever we mention Drummond and his past, especially against the Celtics? He always comes up big in boards and pulling down rebounds. And this is one of the better years for Celtics in terms of rebounding. And I just think he can be a guy to create second chance opportunities. Like, I know I was never crazy about the Celtics going out and trading for him because, I mean, I just don't know if that need is necessarily tops the list for the Celtics team. But I just think if we're talking about second chance opportunities, can run the floor a bit, I mean, that's about it, right? Realistically, I mean, that's what he'll give the Celtics in a nutshell.
Yeah, and the reality is, and the Lakers seems like it's a done deal with Drummond, but I don't know if it's official. The latest is Woj, the strong front runners, right? That's what we have.
Yeah, Woj is the latest.
Yeah, there's a lot of people saying it's already done in the chats. It's not. But it looks like it's close. But the thing is, it was really close 4, 5, 6 hours ago, and it felt like it was going to happen any minute, and it hasn't yet. So it's still out there.
No, that Robinson, I think, is what might have changed things because what the Knicks can do is offer him a long-term deal with a real salary, which might be encouraging to him. I don't know if the Knicks want to do that, but they have a bunch of cap space they didn't use going into this year. So they were actually a team that could absorb him outright too in a trade. So people thought they might think about that. I wonder if that's going to be it. When I heard he was interested in the Celtics, I got interested because he's a pretty good center, and they need a guy right now. We saw Luke Kornet and Mo Wagner over the past 2 days.
Him, by the way, but that's okay.
At $28 million, I couldn't.
None of us said they were going to trade for him. It was always a buyout.
Well, people have been talking about him for years, and I know people in the commenters are saying he's not that great, overrated. But if you bring him in at $1 million on that minimum, that's a guy you want in here. But we had the whole conversation yesterday about would you start him? Would you make all these concessions for him? It's probably not worth it at that point. So as of last night, I was thinking if he comes, I'll be happy. If not, I won't be too bummed. And it looks like he's going to go, and the Celtics are just going to have to figure this out with another guy. I think Gorgui Dieng's out there is a popular name. That's probably a guy who would fit in the Luke Kornet role better than Kornet would be able to night in and night out. So there's other options out there if Drummond doesn't come here. And I don't think he would swing the season by any means. He'd just be a good player to have in here. So if he was willing to come, I'd be more than willing to take him. Yeah,
I kind of agree with Bobby. Hate to say it. I have two takes. Basically, it's one of them is this. If he goes to the Celtics, great. He makes them better. He's an unreal rebounder. He's got obviously a presence down low. How old is he, Bobby?
27.
27. We talk about this guy like he's 36 and like on his way out of the league. I feel like that's how people think of Andre Drummond. He's 27 and he's one of the best rebounders in the NBA. Every time he plays the Celtics, he grabs like 20 plus boards. I swear he's got like, not exaggerating, he has like 7 games of 20 or more rebounds against the Celtics in his career. It's just unbelievable. So I don't know why so many people are anti-Drummond the way they are. I understand that he's limited on offense and he can't shoot the ball.
He does some ridiculous things sometimes. And
sure.
There were 2 plays this year. One where he took the ball in isolation from the top of the 3-point line and did like a spinning fadeaway shot at the rim. And then on the other end, there was a play where he got switched onto a guy and just stood there like his controller died while the guy turned right around him and he just like stopped moving. So he does these things sometimes that make your head spin. He takes a lot of shots and it feels like he's kind of like Dwight Howard in a way. He's like Dwight Howard light. He thinks he's like a more outsized player offensively than he is, even though they both have outstanding talent.
Right, and Dwight Howard back in his prime, I know that he drives a lot of people crazy, but he was a beast too. Anyways, my first take is if he goes to Celtics, I think that's great for them. I don't want Rob minutes to go down to 10 again, but I think that Brad can work it out where if Drummond has to start, so be it. I think Rob should still be able to get his 20 to 25 minutes, and Thompson's hopefully the odd man out. I don't know if it's going to happen that way. And if I'm Drummond, I probably don't put all that trust in Brad to make it out that way. I probably just go to LA because I see a bigger role, or I go to New York because I see a bigger role. And both of those teams are just as capable, if not more than capable, of winning a title than the Celtics are right now. Anyways, maybe not the Knicks because they're the Knicks.
It's twofold. It's all a matter of what his motivation is. Is his motivation is it his motivation to win a title, or is his motivation to get another contract? And so path to minutes and path to useful minutes where you're going to prove your worth and get somebody else to throw $20 million at you might be what he wants more. And so he's got to determine where that is. And that comes down to kind of what he's being sold.
And you go to LA because LeBron makes everybody better. LeBron makes everybody better.
Well, let me ask you this.
I would have Tristan Thompson. Look what you did, Tristan Thompson.
Do you want to
I don't even know why he took a Celtics meeting, really. I mean, he'll start in LA. They'll be in the finals if they're healthy. Like, it's a no-brainer for him.
It seems it, but like, let's say he did come here. Do you want to live in a world where you've got to feed him X amount of times to kind of keep him happy?
No.
That's kind of the problem. This is a guy that's going to need to be fed down low. He's going to need touches. When he gets it, he's going to be a vacuum. And that's going to be that. When he does get his rebounds, he's going back up with them. Like, he's just going to be
fine.
Okay.
I guess. I mean, I know he doesn't have a great field goal percentage for, his size down there.
He doesn't.
I still think that he is better for the team than a guy like Thompson or Kornet or Wagner. So you're improving. If your goal is to be better this season and make a real run at the championship, then you can't tell me that adding Drummond takes away from that. So that's one take. The other take is this: if he goes to the Lakers, he's a bum. So it doesn't really matter.
Definitely. Yeah, I saw your tweet earlier. If he comes here, what a steal, title contenders. If he goes somewhere else, we didn't need that overrated bum. We've got Rob.
Yeah, I mean, what's Lakers he gonna do? Eat up possessions from LeBron and AD? Wow, take them. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Lakers fans don't seem thrilled about getting him either, and there are definitely some red flags with him.
I hope they do because he sucks.
I don't think I'm going to feel anything either way. Like,
that's how I feel. Like he's perfectly between the people who hate him and the people who love him. Like, some people think he's like the missing antidote against Joel Embiid, and some people think he should be out of the league.
No one is. Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody's the Embiid antidote. It doesn't exist.
Only
it's so
Embiid
funny.
Can beat
it's
himself.
So funny that the criteria for being a successful big in this league is whether or not Joel Embiid would eat you alive. Like, it's like, every time you mention a big, Embiid eats that guy alive. He eats everybody alive. Before the injury, he was 1 or 2 in the MVP race. Like,
is Rob an Embiid stopper?
Nobody's an Embiid stopper.
No. Yeah.
Rob's a Giannis stopper. We found that out yesterday.
Yes, he is. Giannis had a little knee situation.
Yeah, he's a little scared of Rob too, I think.
Yeah.
His brother went off tonight, though.
Did he? His brother was all pumped up last night, down 20.
Let's give everybody the correct pronunciation on it. Thanasi. Okay?
Let's just call him the brother.
Yeah.
How good is Giannis that he's...
I didn't know that.
How good is Giannis that he gets his brother a job in the NBA?
Last night.
Giannis.
Who's better, Costas or
Thanasi? One or the other.
I actually don't know. My name was almost Costa.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, is it Costa? I butchered
Instead
both.
they went with John.
No, I mean, it's
sense.
Constantine. It's Costadino. Costa. Costa. However you want to say it, but that was almost my name. I was almost Costa.
Damn, that would have been so much cooler than John, dude.
Yeah. I was...
Your life would be so different.
My birth certificate is Giannis. Yeah.
Why are we calling you John like everybody else?
That's my birth certificate. I'm Yanni.
Giannis Zannis.
Yeah,
we're going to start calling you Yanni.
John?
It's actually, and it's pronounced in Greek, it's pronounced Zannis instead of Zannis, but it is what it is. Zannis.
Zannis. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Cool. I think Thanasi is someone saying in here. Thanasi is better than Costa, but anyway, he was out. But yeah, Rob was definitely the Giannis stopper. He looked frustrated last night.
Absolutely. He looked timid. Yeah. He didn't want to dance down low.
Yeah.
He didn't want anything to do with Rob. Josue and Bobby don't believe me, but I think that's true. If they meet in the playoffs, Giannis is not a happy camper.
There's something about the Bucks still.
Last night.
This is the third year in a row that they have a great team, nice supporting cast, a coach who's got a lot of hype. But when the Celtics run into them, they just always seem to be in every game. The paint gets so clogged for Giannis and the other players there. I said this yesterday. That's probably the team you want out of all the top 4 in the East. And if you throw the Heat in there, you don't want the Nets for sure. The Sixers are looking like a really tough team to get past. The Heat, we know what they did to the Celtics. So it's probably the Bucks. Like, they just match up well with that team.
I agree. Yeah,
Bring on the Bucks.
They already took them down.
After this 7-game win streak, we'll get up to the 6th seed, Bobby. Lock in there. Take on the Bucks. How's that sound?
7 games win streak. Why stop there? Make it 14.
Could be 9, right? You got 2 going into the 7th.
I think there's going to be a real run for this team, and look how Tatum and Brown are playing now too for a couple of games in a row. They're starting to get their feet under them as a team, one by one. Grant's coming along a little bit. Rob has been outstanding in his first few starts, so it's all starting to piece together. It's just, when is Fournier going to arrive? I don't even want to say anything because we just don't know, but it doesn't sound great.
Let's talk about this.
I feel like they both took.
What doesn't sound great? What do you?
Tatum and Brown.
Well,
I feel like Tatum was like, okay, Jaylen, you're doing that thing when you got blinders on and you don't see anyone else. I'm gonna let you do your thing, and it worked out. And then in the fourth quarter, Celtics went back to team basketball. But I don't hate that though. I really don't. When Jaylen does that, I don't hate it because he's got to be your lockdown defender on the opposite end. So if he's got blinders on for 5-6 minutes and he's just in attack mode, I don't hate it.
I don't want to make this all a Rob-centric thing because but this is the second time in a row we've seen it. And again, part of it might be just the starters haven't had enough minutes with him. But part of the reason you have him out there is not just to draw attention so you're freer, but also every once in a while to, pass to him. And they don't. Jaylen has missed in the last 2 games. If we go back and look at the film, at least 5 or 6 like lob opportunities or hitting Rob on the roll where he just won't look. He does not look when he goes to the basket. That's part of the reason you go. It's to drive and kick, drive and dish, and he doesn't do it. So blinders is one thing when you're like, it's okay to say I'm going to take the ball and I'm going to create, but creating is not just a shot for yourself. It's just a good shot. Yeah. There has to be more in your mind than I'm shooting this ball no matter what. And that's
or
when he gets those blinders on. Yeah.
He'll try to do it 4 seconds on the shot clock. Oh, where's somebody?
Yeah.
It's like, no, man.
He gets trapped and then he'll look around and pass, but he doesn't. Tonight was one of the worst I've ever seen with him. Never, ever, ever looking anywhere for anybody.
I'm getting mines and that's it. Yeah.
I want to count total passes. I'd forget assists. I mean, I swear the ball only left his hand like a handful of times.
Literally, there's one play or a couple plays where as soon as he touches the ball, it's just head down, boom. Like he's not even thinking about anybody else.
So this, again, I don't know that people will say at home it's like stat hunting. I don't think so. I think it's just trying really hard to impact the game the way he thinks he can. He's just not. That's just not a thing that he does. And Bobby, I don't know. I mean, you tell me. I don't think he's got that in him. I don't think he can do both at the same time. For a while, he couldn't dribble well enough to even figure out where he was going to go. He'd just start going and he'd get stuck. But now that he's got the dribble down, I still don't think he's looking up, and looking around for things at all and it's too bad because there are opportunities there if he just kind of open his eyes to them.
Yeah, he'll usually hit it once or maybe twice a game. But the team as a whole ideologically just doesn't seem to love that play. I don't know if they emphasize spotting up around those screens and rolls more than dumping it off. But we had that stat earlier in the year that the Celtics on the whole only pass to the roll man 5% of the time, which probably has to be among the fewest in the league. And you see it. Like Tice would get his usual bounce passes in the lane into baskets a few times a game from Kemba. Kemba's not a lob guy. He's usually throwing those low passes. And then JB and Tatum are looking for their shot around those screens.
But you know what they're missing with Rob is Rob's hands are so good. You actually can bounce pass it to him in the lane as well. You don't just have to lob. Yeah. He can catch it.
But Kemba's out tonight. Yeah.
Right, but like Tristan, for example, he just can't get up enough for a roll to throw it up to him, so that's pointless. But also, almost every single pass down low to him, he doesn't have the hands to collect it in traffic and then go up strong or go up without getting challenged or blocked. Whereas Rob absolutely can. So you can get it to him so many different ways. I don't think they fully realize that. I think one, they're not looking for it, and two, they think it's only a lob. And I think you can. He needs to touch the ball a little bit more there for that threat to be real because look, you had last game where it was all the defense was sucking in and it created space for people. But if everyone realizes these guys are never going to pass to him anyway, you're going to stop paying attention to them. So you have to start. You've got to find a way to get the ball in there.
He had 0 in that first half against Milwaukee, didn't he?
Yeah.
So it's true.
No,
but
0 points?
I think he had 0 points in that first half. Against
Maybe he had a couple free throws. I forget. But yeah, I mean, he had a weird stat line where he had everything else.
Yeah. So the tricky thing is this team wants to shoot more threes, and they should be. We've talked about this. They got to generate more
versus long twos.
Yeah. So it's understandable that they're going to be shooting a ton out of those screen and roll opportunities from 3 on pull-ups. That's what got them to the East Finals last year, just those basic plays where they were so deadly on. The tricky thing is if you lean into those, you're going to have halves like the first half tonight where they just couldn't land absolutely anything. Like, I think they were 18% deep into the second quarter on 3. So that's where you want to diversify things a little bit if something's not working. And Rob is a lob guy, even as a catch and possess guy, if he can start to form that out a little more, just gives you an outlet. I just don't think the Celtics like those plays all that much. I mean, didn't Brad say, like, the kind of big we want to play with or the style and something like that?
He was talking about a skill. So this is I was gonna play this comment, but we can just paraphrase. The couple of comments the last few days about Rob. I don't know why he's saying it, but the comment you're referencing, Brad said he's not the type of big we're used to, who's a little bit more skilled and can shoot. So again, he's focusing on what Rob can't do instead of what he can do. And again, it's that weird like. I know what a big is, or I know what I need it to be, and Rob's not that, and it's never been that, and
that's why Rob's trying to have that pick and pop.
Yeah, he wouldn't commit to him as being the best big on the team. He's like the best one we have right now, obviously.
Because he's the Tice guy, obviously.
And Kornet went off too.
And then pregame again today, he says, "Well, I don't expect him to score much on that first unit," and it's like he would if you worked him into the offense, but like.
Right. But even if he doesn't, who cares?
Yeah, but he's basically saying like Jaylen and Jayson are just going to shoot because I have no control over these guys because they do what they do. So Rob's not going to get a lot of touches. Like, I mean, you absolutely can do it. But again, I don't know if part of it is I don't want to be told what I didn't do with Rob during the season. So stop talking about him. I'm not giving full credit because that's going to be an admission of me not having seen it. That there were solutions right before my eyes and I refuse to acknowledge it. I don't know if part of it's downplaying it because they wanted to just shut up about it because Drummond is coming. I don't know if he's doing the Belichick thing where he doesn't want to give him a big head.
That's a good point, yeah.
So I don't know what the impetus is, but he's so slow to praise Rob. And it's just, you just wonder, like, why can't you just say, like, yeah, he's friggin' been amazing for us, he does so many things. He's evolving. He's going to be a star. Like, he just won't do it.
I don't get it either. I feel like we've asked this question so many different times after games and like after weird quotes that have to do with Rob and like how like he's so quick to point out like why Rob might not start or why he might not play as many minutes or why he's not, getting the consistent, time that other players might. But yeah, I guess it's just something that we need to accept at least for this season because you're right. He's like refuses to acknowledge that Rob can change the game, but here's the thing that's weird. It's like we're not saying play Rob so that he can score a bunch of points. We're saying play Rob because he makes the players around him better. He doesn't need to do that by scoring. He just needs to do it by being himself. Kemba Walker needs to do it by scoring, not Rob. Rob needs to go in there and be exactly who he's been all season off the bench, which isn't this like scoring machine off the bench either. I mean. Why would his role all of a sudden change because of the players that are around?
No, it's all about that. It's about the space. It's about just having your stars give it a little bit more freedom to operate, and they clearly have when he's on the court. It's the defensive presence. What's so interesting with me, I don't know what we can't fully understand here. This notion of bringing in a Drummond type figure because he can rebound. What aren't people getting? Rob is a phenomenal rebounder.
Great rebounder, yeah.
He gets up quick and he's got sticky hands. So he just friggin' hauls down rebounds everywhere. And he can jump like he's a multi-directional leaper. He's not just a guy who gets it up in front of him. He's standing here and he can grab boards over here and over here. He can do a lot. So his per 36 rebounding average is like 18 or 9. It's ridiculous. So That's not a concern. That's not a concern at all, right?
Well, that's why there's a lot of people who are okay without the Celtics getting Drummond. I think because of Rob. It's not because of anybody else. I mean, if you didn't have Rob, people would be begging for Drummond to come here, and Drummond would probably have the promise of 35 minutes a game if he didn't have Rob in his team. That being said, he played 26 minutes tonight. Honestly, that's the most I think you'll see him play, like roughly like every game. He's not going to just tick up to 30, 35 minutes a game. So there's still a lot of minutes to be had out there by another center, another player. So, I mean, not to get back into the Drummond talk again, but it's not bad to have two guys that can rebound like that.
Yeah, Josue, you were trying to get in there.
No, I was just going to say, I think a lot of the time also the same people who aren't crazy about Drummond, I mean, the people who aren't crazy about Tristan Thompson are the same ones saying bring in Drummond. Upgrade that position with Drummond. If you have to bench Thompson, then so be it. He'll be your, in case of for an emergency, if someone gets hurt, you plug him in. And I'm not necessarily against that. Like, I think when you think about Drummond, it's rebounding because we've seen it happen to the Celtics so many times. And if you can grab someone through the buyout market who's going to give you that edge in rebounding and give you more opportunities, it may take a little minute, a chunk of minutes away from Robert Williams and what he's doing right now. But in the overall big picture, it could be a big difference down the stretch. Look, the Celtics need to start. They're already doing it, right? They're taking more threes. They're pushing the ball more. Everyone sort of got the green light as long as you get back on defense. And I think that someone like Drummond can create, more opportunities for the offense, second chance opportunities, jumpstart the fast break if he's able to clean the glass the same way he's able to do at TD Garden as a visitor. So I think all of that, the Celtics are taking all that into consideration. And they're just trying to catapult this offense as best they can because let's face it, I mean, the effort that we've seen the last two nights has been great, but is this the defense we're going to see every single night? I mean, we're not 100% sure. So I think offensively with his rebounding, it could really help the Celtics overall for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Upgrade Thompson. That's the way I look at it. You can upgrade Thompson.
Can we just do a quick moment of silence for Bobby's Syracuse Orange, who just took an L?
Yeah, they just bowed out.
Bob, anything you want to say quickly? We'll give you 5 seconds to talk about Syracuse.
John, cue the Boys to Men.
Q's Cam.
Hard to say goodbye.
Go, Q's Cam. 5.
It was a good run.
3.
There was a path to the
2,
Final Four, which is tough.
1. Very well said. Well said.
Yeah. Okay. Look how sad he looks. Look how sad he looks full screen.
Well, it just I was
regret
watching
doing
it.
that. Now I'm sad.
I was watching it while we were on the full screen, and they were within 8 or 9 for like 11 straight minutes, and then Houston just blew the doors off in the final 9. So it was sad to watch. But anyway,
it's
Rob,
tough when it's a real likable guy like Boeheim takes a loss like that. Really likable guy that everyone can sort of rally around. But anyways,
Buddy is true in that sense.
Yeah,
Buddy, do you want Buddy on the Celtics?
No, because that means Jim Boeheim.
All right. So Rob, I see everyone going crazy in the comments, and you guys are talking about minutes and stuff like that. I just don't know what people want. He's starting. He's playing 30 minutes. Now it's got to be what, 40, 48.
I want everyone to say they were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
For thinking he would melt playing with the starters and they couldn't handle 25 to 30 minutes a game, and that they aren't better on the floor. That of the 3 bigs that they had,
I mean, wasn't he was one of the guys who got benched to open this game, wasn't he?
Of the 3 bigs that they had, he was clearly the most impactful and should have been leading the charge. That's all I want. We're not trying to make him into anything he wasn't. They had 2 other mediocre bigs on the team that we tried too hard to explain why Tristan Thompson deserved minutes.
Yeah, but there's this notion that no one else should play.
And Tice is okay. And for some reason, the guy who obviously was the most talented player of the 3, we were trying to explain why he should be playing more for 40 games. That's all we're trying to do. It was crazy.
Yeah, but this is where
it was so easy to explain. It's like us arguing for 45 games that Jayson Tatum is good. Like the argument should have been put to bed so early, yet we just kept having it.
Yeah, his effect out on the floor is real, but I don't think him as an individual player is swinging games on his own production. Like, he's making it easier for other guys, as you've said. He's a really good fit for some of the talents that are out on the floor, and he's protecting the rim, which was a ginormous need on the team.
Yeah.
But it just gets taken so far, and I think this is why Brad pushes back on it to where, like, no one else can play, no one else can close games. I mean, Luke Kornet closed the game well for them at center tonight, and everyone's freaking out because Brad apparently found a way to get away from him.
Good minutes too. Of course, every once in a while, different things are going to happen. That's the unit that got hot, so he's stuck with them. Absolutely. If you think that's ever going to happen again, it's not.
I'll start preparing you guys for this too. They're probably not going to extend him this offseason. They'll have the chance to, and they probably won't. They'll probably take this right up till free agency in 2 years. See how he develops, see how consistent he can become, and if he is a starting center for this team. Just because they think as an organization, I think this is where Danny and Brad actually do come in the line here. They have 4 centers. Any one of them could close a game on any given night. Who's hot? Who's the best matchup? Who do they feel best about? Any of them.
The Celtics have 4 centers?
Yeah, name them right now.
They have 4 bodies
that are in contention to close a game.
Yeah, who?
Luke Kornet just closed the game over Rob.
Oh my God!
All right, I'm out.
Oh, there it is.
All right, y'all.
It just happened.
A couple nights, couple days.
Yo, Joe, yeah, I'll see you, bro.
I'm
I'm
gonna
head
take here.
I'm gonna head up, bro. All right, it's good seeing you guys.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you, everybody, coming in.
It just happened. I'm just saying exactly what happened.
Now, Bobby, come on.
No, but I mean, Tice has closed games. Mo Wagner against the Bucks played the late minutes.
Mo Wagner. Oh man, you're
Half
trying.
the commenters are about to leave.
I think Brad is controlling Bobby's brain somehow. He's tapped in.
No, I'm just explaining how they look at it. I'm not saying Kornet
with all
and
due
Wagner.
respect,
I'm not high on Kornet and Wagner. And I'm not saying that they're going to be closing games, but you don't think there's going to be some games where Thompson's going to be closing?
I think very unlikely. I think you will have a 0 big lineup occasionally when Fournier plays to close games, where you could potentially, like I said, have someone like Grant out there for shooting. Yeah. I think it's very unlikely.
Smart, Brown, Tatum, Fournier,
I think it's very unlikely that Tristan would ever close a game over Rob under any circumstances, because he's never going to bring you anything you need late in a late game situation. Even when you had the 3 big rotation, Rob was closing lots of them. So Rob's going to close almost every game, but you might play a little offense, defense, switcheroo if there's free throws or something and swap out. But no way is Kornet or Wagner.
I'm not saying they're going to. I'm just
late game rotations.
I'm just saying that's what happened tonight. And if Drummond came in here, all of a sudden you'd be sending this 3-ways, and that's something we agreed with coming into tonight. It was the contentious point on Drummond. If they play Philly round 1, who do you think's going to get more minutes between Thompson and Rob?
What?
If they play Philly round 1, who's going to start? Who's going to get more minutes in all of these games? I don't know.
I mean, honestly, trying to figure out how Brad's going to play the centers is an impossible task.
That's what I'm trying to explain. I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm just,
Who is and who should might be 2 completely different answers, but I can guarantee you that it won't be Kornet and it won't be Von Wagner.
I'm not saying it's going to be. I'm saying they did it the last 2 nights.
Jimmy, you did that on purpose. It won't be Von Wagner.
No, but it's
yeah. I mean,
I don't know how Kornet.
This just became a tornado saying like I think Kornet should close games. I'm saying that the Celtics look at the center position and say, if we have 3 guys who bring different skill sets here, depending on how the game's going, we're going to use one of them. And they don't view Rob. I don't think they view Rob. Ainge might because of the deadline decision he made.
Not with the 3 guys on the floor tonight. It just so happened Kornet came in to spell Rob in the 4th. The entire unit got hot. Brad rode them. That's all that happened tonight, because there was no reason to switch it at that point. It was just going well.
That's one of the situations you run into.
I'm saying that it's never going to happen again, because once Tristan is activated, he's not going to rotate in that situation. You're just never going to happen.
No, Kornet can stretch it. Obviously, Tristan can't that in that way. But to your point, John. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get 2 guys back in Thompson. You're gonna get 3 guys: Kemba Walker, Thompson, Fournier, I mean, it's a numbers game at some point. You're not going to get minutes for these guys that are coming in
He
right
threw
now.
Taco in the first half again.
Yeah, you get.
Yeah, I mean, what if
guys that are
what if they
like,
get down by like 13 in a playoff game? And they're gonna put Kornet
then they're going to lose
Wagner
that. Probably
in there.
going to lose that series. Then.
No.
But I don't think it plays into them. Like,
they're not. They're going to play small ball lineups with their multiple.
Yeah,
wings.
you're going to see a lot more
Grant. Yeah, you might see Grant.
Like I said, you're going to see Grant in there with the 3 wings and to create spacing and shooting.
All I'm trying to explain.
He did it in the postseason even.
One thing I'll agree with.
You'll have Marcus Smart playing the 4, in some of these.
Yeah,
lines,
this is. I mean, we're pretty much saying the same thing. They have different skill sets, and they're going to use different guys in there depending on what's going on. They don't view Rob as like Joel Embiid compared to Dwight and Tony Bradley on the Sixers. It's 3 equal guys. Rob probably has more leeway than the other 2 that are here. But it's not as big of a gap as Joel and Dwight
Bobby,
Howard, for example.
I don't think they value
this question. Go ahead, Jimmy.
I just don't think they value the center position as much as
that's
they value
all I'm trying to say.
Well,
yeah,
Bobby, all season long you were calling us a bunch of boomers and wanting 1980s era centers, and you're sitting here lobbying for Tristan Thompson and Andre Drummond to get minutes.
I just want as many guys as options as you can get in here.
These aren't the guys you want to be on the floor really ever, especially if you have guys, you just don't need it on this team. You don't want it on this team.
Yeah.
No, you don't want Rob to be struggling in the first half and have to go in a different direction, but it might. And I told you guys this Rob starting experience is going to kind of go up and down. It was fantastic from the opening minutes in Milwaukee.
You do realize with not Rob starting at center, the team was 21-23. Could you possibly be more up and down than that? Like, why is Rob held?
Yeah, but Rob was not the reason they won the night.
But I'm saying they have to go undefeated with Rob at center in order for him to maintain.
No, I'm not going off record or anything like that. Even if they lost to the Bucks yesterday, I would have looked at that game and said Rob was fantastic. Win or lose tonight, I didn't think he was as good.
What I'm saying,
he wasn't. What
I'm saying is
to all the players.
Every player on the team has had a hand in a sub 500 record up to this point, and we're not talking about their inconsistencies and their struggles, and that includes Jaylen and Jayson and stars on this team, and nobody's sitting here having a conversation about, I don't know if it's sustainable to keep Jaylen Brown in the starting rotation because they're under 500 right now, so it's ridiculous. Like, what is it? What is the standard of Rob Williams that he has to play to near perfection to justify his minutes? It's insane.
It's kind of a different situation at the center position. Like, it's more interchangeable. They don't ask those guys to do as much. So if one guy's struggling, they can just call on another guy. And if it's similar production or a little bit better on any given night, the way they play, that's just how it goes here. And if you want that to change, if you want the center to become a more like consequential part of how the Celtics do things, you're going to have to fire Brad because he's just never going to change on that front.
No, what you do is you let the guy who impacts the game in every way you need it to be impacted do that, and then let.
So you're gonna force shots to Rob?
No, you're gonna force
the issue to him.
You're freeing everyone else up to be. Let's all say it together. The best version of themselves.
Classic Brad quote right there.
It's the best version of themselves. That's what Rob does. He makes them better because they can be more free and they can be themselves. They'll only be better when they start to acknowledge his presence on the court and get him. I'm not saying force feed Rob. I'm saying the type of style you want to play with these players. You want some big clunky center in there you got to throw it to in the post. I don't want that at all. No,
I'd rather have Drummond on the roster than Kornet. That's all I feel. I think Drummond's better than Kornet. That's
no
how I
doubt
feel
about that.
It. Yeah.
It's not that. It's if Drummond turns into if he came or another big, and now you've got this minute suck because Brad wants to do the thing that you say, play the situation, play the guy, play the this, play the that, rather than just enjoy the Rob experience and just live with it and let him play his 25, 30 minutes each game. Because ultimately you are better. I just don't know that Brad sees it. And I think he's like, oh, this calls for Kornet, or this calls for an Olynyk, or this calls for Grant minutes. And it's just, I think he's wrong. I just think it's, for whatever reason, he thinks it's what they need to do. And I don't think it's right. I don't think it's the right call. I mean, If
I hate
double big lineups, Bobby, I'm going to lose my mind, man.
Oh no, they can't do that. I'll lose my mind about that too. I hate that I get seen as an anti-Rob guy and the tweets get thrown at me and all that stuff whenever he does right, because I do love him. I think he's an awesome prospect.
You've made your bed, Bobby.
I know I have, but I just feel like I need to do it.
Bledsoe guys, my friend. You are a Bledsoe guy.
Sadly, so am I.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would be. I can see that.
No, in 2001, I was
at that time,
set that if Bledsoe was healthy, he should get his job back. And when Brady got knocked out of that game and Bledsoe came in and they won the playoff game against Pittsburgh, I absolutely wanted Bledsoe to start in the Super Bowl, and I was certain they won.
That's right. That debate started back up because of that. Yeah,
yes, and I was certain they won in spite of Brady, not because of him.
That is a crazy one.
So.
There were a lot of people in that camp. A lot of people.
No, Bledsoe's a real one. Shout out to Bledsoe because
Bledsoe's a real one, dude.
That was a tough quarterback, man.
I'm owning that one. I love Drew.
He used to obviously he got hurt. The way he got hurt, man, he career nearly ended right there. Like that was.
If you lived it the way, like my age there too, is you had that one spike where they went to the Super Bowl and that was a great
really suffered. Yeah,
in the 80s, but then that drought, you talk about suffering, a couple of 1-win seasons, that was dark. So Drew Bledsoe was a freaking angel sent from up above to save us.
He was the man.
He was the man. He was
a baby. Yeah,
he brought the franchise back to respectability. So it was hard to not love Drew, and he was a good soldier about it. So
he was the best.
He'll never be remembered for what he truly was to the franchise, which was super important. But at the time, I thought Brady was a jag. He's a little dink and dunk guy. He wasn't super impressive.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
he was that.
Bledsoe could take the hits. He could take the
even that year. I mean, that year he wasn't even great.
Yeah.
He was average as a quarterback, but they were Bobby, winning around him.
The heat off you. If you're the anti-Rob guy for the rest of your life, I was the anti-Tom Brady guy. That's worse. Okay.
Yeah, and hopefully Rob's career path doesn't take the same trajectory as Brady, so you can live your life unlike you don't have to be like Steve Bartman or something like that.
Yeah,
I'll keep my Cam Newton thoughts to myself to save myself even more in the chat.
Yeah. But that's fine. People are throwing it out there. What do you guys think? Let's say, okay, let's be real. Drummond probably goes to the Lakers. What do you think of Olynyk?
I'm hearing. I checked in with
to get bought out because it's not right now.
Yeah, so I checked in with Rocket Circles, and Fertitta doesn't buy guys out, I guess. So it's just not going to happen. Like, I'm barring a surprise, he's just not going to pay a guy to leave the team.
Interesting.
What do I think of Kelly Olynyk? I think he didn't do enough to get Durant here to Boston. That's what I think.
Failure.
You won't let him live that down. Huh? Was it the tie-dye T-shirt? Do you think it was? Was that?
I swear, Olynyk had a more negative impact to that negotiation than Brady had positive.
Come on,
I don't know how
you do not show up with that homely looking dude there and be like, "Come hang out with us." They should have absolutely said no to allowing him into that negotiation.
That's a hot take.
Embarrassing.
It is.
That reduced their chances by at least 10%. Guaranteed.
Made him look more small time. Made him look small time.
Small time. Yeah, exactly.
Well, what was going to be the starting line?
It's like taking him to D'Angelo's, No, it's
like.
You had clam chowder from D'Angelo's? It's delicious, guys.
I will say, forget the Olynyk thing.
Like the nicest place, like right off the store.
Check it out, man. Friggin' number 9 pocket. It's awesome.
There are NBA people that said, why'd the Celtics bring Tom Brady for a Celtics pitch? Like it felt kind of weird.
Because he's a huge Brady guy.
I know, but it had nothing to do with the Celtics.
It had to do with being in New England, being
go through the other guys,
being a legend in the city.
Go through the other guys. Demarcus, Gorgui, or Olynyk doesn't seem like
no to Demarcus.
Yeah.
Demarcus has just been sitting around with no interest for a reason. Dieng, he was good.
I love the name.
He was good for
him. He was good. Let's go with him.
Yeah, but he's been awful for 2 years. I don't know if he's just fallen off a cliff at this point.
No, Bobby.
I mean, this is the buyout market.
We're in,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, guess what?
He's an
They're
old
all
school
off
dude.
the cliff.
He's an old school dude. You know,
He
these
shoots the
bigs that have
three.
no shot whatsoever. They're not quick on their feet, lateral movement. That's it. You know, you end up teamless at the end of the day. You know, a lot of these bigs, their careers are cut short because of this.
I'd give Dieng a flyer because he's probably better than Kornet in the same role.
You think he's better than Wagner or Kornet?
Probably. You
Was
keep
it
Wagner,
worth it?
though. You keep Wagner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Wagner's like the hustle guy right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
You just
exactly.
throw him
That's
in
why I
when
like
you need some energy or whatever. You're
How
down
about-
by a ton. You can shoot
You know what I like the
threes.
most about him? I know it's only been 2 games, but the way he was running into to create screens, I'm like, that's the kind of energy we haven't seen all year. Well,
Yeah.
Thompson does it a little bit. Shout out to your boy Bobby. I give Thompson that, but you don't see a lot of guys just that emphasis on creating hard screens and running into them. And
Right.
if
How about
you
Zach
wanna-
Smith?
No, with this roster spot, you want a guy who's actually going to play, if you can find it. And Olynyk would probably play a little bit. Dieng would probably play in certain situations. Sex Pants would not. Cousins would not. And who's the other one?
Somebody brought up Poirier as a.
I did, yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
he
God!
did. Well, he's up there.
That's his government name. That's funny.
How dare you,
Louis.
dude?
Sex Pants.
How
said
dare you?
six
Why is it
family.
all
Too
the?
It's a great nickname.
Too bad they're not allowed to bring back Jeff Teague. That's a tricky little rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too bad.
So what happened there? What happened to the Gary Payton rule? Is that what it was? Remember Gary Payton?
Yeah,
did that?
you can't take the guy back after.
That's dirty.
Otto
pool.
Porter. Otto Porter's one who got me intrigued, but the Magic are keeping him, it sounds like.
Yeah, I thought that would have been an interesting one.
Yeah, he fit a need pretty badly.
Yeah.
Again, they probably.
That was up for discussion. I'm like, Orlando, don't you guys need bodies right now? Like, I was surprised. I know he's a little older, but you know, he's definitely a rotation player for those guys.
The
Yeah.
reason I love Drummond is because he wasn't going to be the last guy on the roster. He was actually going to join the middle of the roster from the last spot, which I think would be a creative way to improve the team.
But yeah, you're not
If
getting Drummond.
if it's really the 15th man, it's not going to matter who it is.
Whoever you get is going into locker room 2. That's no doubt.
Yeah, immediately.
Make sure.
And at some point, you probably just keep Cornet. Like you
Yeah,
just
yeah,
don't even
yeah,
make
If
that
it's a
spot.
locker room 2
nameplate.
guy, and you're
No
and
name
we're
on your roster.
yeah.
No.
If you're sitting here debating whether or not he supplants a Kornet guy, like it's probably not worth doing it. You know.
Hey, and
Is
for those
Kyle
of,
Korver a free agent?
I don't know, probably. For those of for all of you guys watching,
I don't think so.
locker room 2 in the TD Garden is like a closet. It is tough. I think the TD Garden has the worst locker rooms.
It's
in the league.
incredible. Because
It's
the
awful.
Bruins, because it's the Bruins run the show there, so the Celtics get second fiddle. First of all, the visiting locker room is worse than a high
It's a
school locker
joke.
room.
It's so bad.
It is.
I kind of
so
like that
bad.
it is. You know what?
It
You don't
reminds
want.
me of a high school locker room. It does.
I'm actually glad that it is because that's how it should be. You shouldn't be
Yeah,
whining and
losers.
dining. You
Yeah.
should be whining and dining the opposition. They should have to suffer in that room.
But the
And they
Celtics is
do.
a box like that.
Yeah.
These locker rooms should be massive. You
Because
know,
they have
like,
2 teams, right?
ugh.
Because the Bruins have a really
Yeah.
nice big locker room.
Bruins
But
is
hockey
better.
locker rooms, generally speaking, are. But the
The Bruins house.
Think about the
Bruins house.
visiting hockey team has a shitty locker room. I guess they don't call it a locker room. They call it a
Dressing room.
dressing room, and you can't walk on the B.
It's
obviously.
not there anymore. The new place. They
Oh,
moved it.
really?
Yeah, it's on the ceiling.
Oh, thank God.
I almost got into so many friggin' fights about that.
I got yelled at like crazy.
Ugh.
That was the first couple of years covering the team.
You
Anyway,
couldn't. There's a huge B in the center of not that big a locker room, and during the playoffs,
And
you
the
literally
visitors?
could- You
No.
literally couldn't
No.
get
Bruins.
from one place to another, and there was 4 guys whose job it was just to tell you not to step on the B. It's literally the only
Yeah.
reason they were employed.
like they're just
What?
guys from like Southie and Charlestown.
Yeah.
They just say, "Why don't you
With
guys
suits
stand?
on, and hey, don't step on the B, kid.
Hey,
And I'll
get
be
the
like,
fuck off!" I'm like, "What?"
Hey, guy.
kid,
Hey,
don't
guy.
step on the
You wanna
B.
get off
They
the
would
fucking
grab
B?
veteran writers and actually strong arm them off the B, and they'd be like,
Really?
"Yeah, these
Now
guys."
That would be 10 times funnier in the
crazy.
visitors' locker room.
It's crazy. But going back to what I was saying, I can only imagine how awful locker room 2 is
Yeah,
for these
get off the
Celtics
B.
players. I mean, like you said, John. I mean, they're like worse than high school locker rooms. So
Yeah. It is bad. But yeah, locker room too. That's, anyone who
You're getting a locker room two guy.
About the divide on the teams and how there's the A team and the B team. And
that was funny. Yeah.
You know who's on the B team.
So there's nobody really that they can get, assuming they're not going to get Drummond.
No, that's it, Jimmy.
I mean, this is how buyouts go. We always predict it's going to be someone amazing, and then it's like Jonathan Gibson. Remember him?
We've had some awful buyout guys. I mean,
was Crawford a buyout?
Buyout and awful are synonymous. There's a reason guys get bought
Crawford a buyout?
No, they traded for him at the
Troy
deadline.
Murphy. Remember that one?
Oh,
yeah, that worked out.
Yeah, I mean, just think about what a buyout is.
I know.
The other team hates the guy so much they're giving him money to leave. Like, obviously, they're not huge, high-impact guys, you know?
And that's why when I heard Drummond, I got really excited.
Be an awesome team to get a good buyout guy, like the Celtics in 2008 when they got Cassell and PJ Brown. I mean, those guys weren't superstars, but they did exactly what you wanted them to do when they came in. And, the Celtics just aren't in that position this year. They're not going to get the most coveted buyout guys or guys that are going to fit the role perfectly.
They're not the Lakers. That's what the Lakers are.
And they're not the Lakers. They're not the Lakers.
Guys like that, they go to the Lakers. They go, in those
or
years.
The Nets. LaMarcus Aldridge today.
The Celtics, the Michael Finleys, the Troy Murphys. They just clung on to try to win a title. They're going to go to the top teams. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's why I got so excited about Drummond, because you usually don't get a guy that good in the buyout market.
Thoughts on LaMarcus?
What about what Bobby said though? What about Kyle Korver? What if they pull up to his place, pull what they did to PJ Brown in New Orleans, and try to convince him to come along? Jaylen could call him. Jaylen could talk to him a little bit.
Yeah, if he's fresh and in shape, that could be interesting.
He's a guy that was always in shape. He would have unreal off seasons, come in ready to go. I don't know what he's up to now, but
I'm surprised he's not on a team.
I think Jaylen can make that phone call, make it happen. They work together. They're a lot of stuff they're doing.
Again, you'd probably rather have another wing than 4 bigs, right?
I would.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the whole point. If what you're bringing in now is going to just be, like you said, bench fodder, back of the bus sort of stuff, competing with Wagner and Kornet for a roster spot here, there's no point. So you're right. I'd rather bring in another wing or somebody else, or just somebody who only can.
Somebody to bury Neesmith.
Just shoot.
Probably
a little bit more.
Probably.
Guys. I'm telling you, whether it's like 45 or 53s, 40 to 53s, like that's
can we
Kyle Korver, sign me up.
Can we talk about
a specialist that brings something you don't have? Absolutely. Exactly. Or adds depth at a place that you need it.
But you'll be mad he blocks Neesmith.
An exact void.
I don't care about Neesmith. Look, my Neesmith point, I think it's, again, I don't want to make it over and over and over again.
Yeah, we got you.
We want to see him play to see if he can. At this point, I don't think he can. So if you have, if it's him versus Semi, I'll just keep running Neesmith out there and see if he can give you anything. If it's him versus somebody who's, now that you have another wing and you have Fournier in there, and when Romeo comes back, who again I think is going to be ahead of Neesmith because he has a year under his belt, I don't think there's a path to minutes for Neesmith there, and that's fine. It was just, if you're going to be playing Javonte and these stiffs, develop this guy and see if you can catch lightning in a bottle, and maybe he can help you down the stretch. At this point, it's a lost season for him.
Well, here's your buyout option. Romeo Langford, he's essentially going to be that. I think he's going to play on Monday. So let's see what he's got. He'll probably jump right into that rotation the way it's looking, and
probably
get minutes. Semi Ojeleye is going to miss some time here.
Yeah, I think so too. So, all right.
We're talking about guys missing time. Did we talk about Fournier at all or no?
No, we could talk about him a little bit. So
he tweeted today.
What did he say? I'm fine.
It's so weird seeing Vooch in a different uniform. LOL. That was 3 hours
He's
ago.
A big tweeter.
Hey, well, maybe tweet more and stop getting COVID. What's going on here? It's so weird seeing Vooch a different uniform, and then someone goes, going to be just as weird seeing you in a new one too. Good luck, Evan. Thanks again for the years in Orlando. And then he said 24 minutes ago, my man, thanks for the true support over the years. It meant a lot. So he sounds, and I am a doctor, he sounds okay based on these tweets. So I don't know if it's just a protocol short-term thing. I mean, it's impossible to get information on, I guess, what's going on. Bobby, have you seen or heard anything on the Twitter sphere?
So does anybody know if he was just in contact with someone? Because obviously then he'll play much quicker. But we never know on these things. Like Romeo, was in the protocol, disappeared for 3 freaking weeks. You know, like Tristan, we have no word on.
No idea.
We have no idea if this is he has it or he was just, you know, was near somebody. No idea.
Yeah, I think usually there'll be a sense from the team that they would assure things if it was more contact related, and that's more of like a couple of days, a couple of tests, and you're out of it. When it just pops up like this and they don't say anything about it, I get a little more concerned about the longer end of things. I don't actually know anything on this. I don't know if he tested positive or not, but
nobody said anything. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, it seemed like back when you had the contact guys that were Jaylen, Semi, those type of guys, you sort of knew that they were in the contact program, whereas Tatum had tested positive. You heard that for the report. The only guy you didn't really know earlier in the season was Carson. It seemed like he was in that contact group, but then he went back because he actually tested positive. So I'd be worried about Fournier here missing a longer amount of time because there's no one to connect him back to in Orlando. Obviously, he hasn't contacted anyone in the Celtics yet, and he shouldn't be contacting anyone in the outside world. So unless he was out like crazy in Florida, which was certainly a possibility.
Like you said, take a bad flight or something. Like
no, I doubt that's what it was.
He should be flying private. He should be the only one in the damn plane.
Let's be real. He flew to Boston. He took a physical, and then this happened. It's kind of you can kind of read the sequence of events there.
Right. So Boston once again. It's too bad.
Might not see him for a while.
This is a real bummer.
It's a huge bummer. I mean, like John said, you brought in a guy on the short term to play a couple months. He's going to miss, he could miss, I guess, 2 weeks. I mean, the whole home stretch here. It's
that's
packed.
tough
These
because
games
if
are coming.
Yeah, that's like 10 games, right? For this season, that's right. A lot. 2 weeks is a lot.
If you threw him into the lineup tonight and then had him for those 7 games, that's where I really thought they would have been cooking. And now they're just going to kind of be in the same situation. If they played like they did tonight against any team that had real talent, they're probably going to lose.
Terrible.
They just got a good man. Horford going out tonight just added to the break they got here.
No Shai, no Horford. I mean, they were missing. I mean, and then friggin' Dort goes out with a concussion. I mean,
my guy Dort.
Yeah.
Lou Dort.
Pokashevsky went down with the knee pain.
They
caught a million breaks, but he was out for a little while.
Exactly.
Thank God.
We'll see. They're back Monday. 7-game homestand. So there's some stuff to look forward to.
We got Zion coming, right?
You got fans coming back, which is cool.
Fans get to see Zion after all. That's pretty lucky.
They get to see Romeo right on time. Romeo was probably just waiting for fans.
And we got Charlotte coming in soon this week, right?
Oh, sure.
Sunday, a week from tomorrow.
That's going to be fun.
Video tribute.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Right.
So
you got fans for that? Yeah, that'll be
interesting.
They're
going to do it, right?
Is he going to get Is he going to get cheered or booed? Probably booed, right?
Well, there's only going to be 2,000 fans in the stadium.
They're going to throw cheese at him.
Yeah. You hear it, though. I mean, going from 0 to 2,000, you hear the difference.
Head to the Wellesley Cheese shop, stock up, bring it to the Garden.
This is kind of surprising. I thought tickets would be going for a lot more, but you can actually get balcony seats for the Zion game for $90 on StubHub right now.
Jimmy, you got to get in there and start Pritchard's Corner or whatever you want to call it.
Pritchard's Perch.
Pritchard's
Perch. Balcony corner. I mean,
months later, he remembered.
Yeah. All right. So we're out of gas. It's late. So we're going to wrap it up, but we'll be back for Monday's game. And then we've got a ton of them coming up. So you'll see us again. Any breaking news? It's very possible we pop up. If you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channels. And you get notified when we go live. Should they buy out? If they get Drummond, we'll pop up. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Any other big moves? But otherwise, look for us again on Monday. Check out our YouTube channel for all of our press conferences and other videos that are going to be coming out.
I got a new column out on the website.
Bobby Manning. Yep.
Okay.
On Evan Fournier. The Celtics Danny did the right thing by getting Fournier for the Celtics and why it's going to help. So read Bobby Manning, clnsmedia.com, Josue Pavon, heavy.com, and CLNS
right.
Media.
Also, tomorrow, 12:20, joining Christian Arcane on 98.5 The Sports Hub. So it's not
hell
too
yeah.
early, guys. Little Sunday servers, not too early. So 12:20. Yeah, check it out.
Can we call in and heckle you a little bit or what?
You guys look.
You suggested that last time, and I was worried. So don't. No.
Well, don't heckle Josue, but all of you guys in the chat, there's still over 1,000 of you here. Check it out. Josue's on the radio tomorrow.
Yeah, it's in about 12 hours, so you should be awake for that.
Yeah. Get your beauty rest. Come on in.
Yeah.
Ask Josue a couple brain busters. We'll be ready.
Yep. We love it.
Arcan's a Celtics guy.
Yeah. There's plenty to talk about.
What? What that boss?
You're there. You're there. You're still there.
You're there.
We're good.
Anyway, good night, everybody. We will see you guys on Monday.